same page. And this is, okay, let's see. This is kind of the finished product. Everyone should probably, or is probably going to have different beads. So the beads themselves aren't necessarily important to get exact. It's just kind of creating this drop. Sorry, I'm trying to navigate this. For some reason, it's like on a mirror. So my left is like showing up your left instead of your right. So it's all kind of weird. Okay, so we have here some head pins. I believe we included about 12 head pins. That should create 2 sets of jewelry if you, or earrings if you have all of them. If not, then there's just enough in case we mess up on the head pins. So I'm pulling 6 of them right now. And a head pin is pretty much just a long piece of already cut wire with a little bit of a head to it, versus an eye pin. Eye pins have, sorry guys, a loop to them. There it is. So we don't need those. We just need the ones that are kind of flat just to catch our pins. So I have 3 and 3. When I am working with something that has to be symmetrical, I like to get everything set up symmetrically. And I pretty much just grabbed all my tools and I put them in these little pots, not super duper necessary for everyone to do it. I like to have it. We also have something called jump rings. And you know what, I'm gonna stand up because I don't know if I can see what you're seeing. Okay, so a jump ring is just a ring that connects. It's open in a slit on the outside, so it can open up and you can slide your loops that you create onto it. So this is going to be, I'm going to put this right in the middle. So my jump ring's right here. I have 3 eye pins, and then the earpiece is a fish hook earpiece. So I got 2 and 2, and then I know you guys had silver. I didn't have silver at my house, so I just grabbed what I had, which was just like a brass. They are nickel free, and they're actually iron. So if anyone asks what metal they're made out of, it's nickel free iron. So I grabbed some of my seed beads. It doesn't have to be the same color or anything like that. So we got seed beads. We have seed beads. We have our fish hooks, our jump rings, and our head pins. So in the kit, you should have gotten some needle nose pliers, 1 or 2. Ideally 2, but if you only got 1, we can work with that too. And some of them actually have like a wire cutter built into it. If you don't have one with a wire cutter built into it, we'll just use scissors. Scissors work pretty good because these are pretty soft in metal. There's also separate just wire cutters if you happen to have a pair of jewelry wire cutters. Everyone okay so far?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. So now that we're set up, we're going to be creating a pattern. So I have my 3 eye pins, or head pins rather, I'm sorry, head pins. And I'm going to start with the middle. The middle is probably going to be the easiest. And what you're going to do for the middle one is this one's just a little bit longer than the other 2. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put a couple beads on here. I believe I have 8. You can choose whatever length you'd like. But we have, and they're tiny, so they do tend to escape from you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're at 8 there. And then I'm going to go to the next side and get the middle from there too. Because what I'm just trying to make sure it's nice and symmetrical. You don't want one side larger than the other. And again, different colors, different sizes of seed beads. These are some of the larger ones. Is everyone having an okay time putting their beads onto their head pins?
Yeah.
1, 2, 4, 5, 7. Okay, so I have my middles. Now, the next step, instead of just jumping to the 2 on the side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my needle nose pliers, and I'm going to kind of navigate like roughly a quarter, I think no more than a quarter of an inch, or maybe in between, maybe half an inch. I'll do a half an inch just to be certain. So you can use, if you have the wire cutters, you can line it up with the wire cutters from the same needle nose, or if we don't, scissors, as I said, work just as well. Just kind of use the tips of your nails as a guide, not to get sandwiched in there, but just to keep it from your beads sliding off. So that tends to go flying, the little metal piece that we just cut off. But so I have my end ready to go. So what I do after I cut it off is I quickly bend it in a 90-degree angle. And that keeps the beads from falling off. It also gives me a good start for when I create my loops. I'm going to do the same thing, just kind of make sure I, again, have it pretty even. So it doesn't necessarily matter how much beads you put on, how much width you get when you're cutting, as long as you give yourself enough slack, as long as it's even. All right, so I got my 2 wires. They look pretty good. This one looks like a little bit too thick or too long, so I'm just going to trim that just as hair.
Melissa, how many beads are on the shorter wires?
On the shorter wire, okay, so on mine, I had 8 in the middle, and I put 6 on the others. It really doesn't necessarily matter as long as they're slightly shorter, like as long as it's shorter than the middle one. So right now I'm just focusing on the middle one, so I have a better control of how many to put on the sides. Okay, so now that I have my wire at a 90-degree angle, and sometimes the beads do slip off like you just saw, but not nearly as easily. And this part is probably going to be the trickiest part. With what we're going to be doing with the needle nose pliers is we're pretty much wrapping the metal around the wire in a loop. And what we're going to do is, I'm actually, if you can see my wrist is holding, or my wrist is face up. So by the time I roll this, it's going to be face down. So I'm just kind of I'm not really moving the metal as much as I'm moving my wrist. And I'm just creating a loop. And I made a little too big. So I'm going to kind of twist it. What you really want to end up doing is making sure that the ends kind of touch. So it kind of locks the loop. You don't want it to go too far and not far enough. So that's kind of a big one. So if you realize that the loop's too big, you can go back and you can trim it a little bit. So you can unwind it. So I'm just going to trim it just a hair. I just have to remember to do it to the other one too. So I start over, I have my somewhat of a 90-degree angle at this point. And then wrist up, and I'm holding the beads with my less dominant hand. I'm just kind of wrapping them around so I create a loop. Okay, and then I'll do the same for the other one. I think this one. Again, wrist up, holding beads with my non-dominant hand, and I'm just following the curve of the wire and the needle nose pliers rather, and there we go. So now I have the two middles. I'm trimming this just a tiny bit more because that's not closing the way I want it to. There it goes. Okay, so I got my two middles. And then the next 4 ones are going to all be the same amount. So I had 8 on my middle. I'm doing 6 on each side. It doesn't hurt to grab them out of whatever vessel that's already in, just so makes it easier. It can be whatever color you'd like. This is just a starting point for you to get an idea of how these connect and these work. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Okay, so then I bend it at my 90-degree angle, move on to the next one. And once you get the hang of this technique, you can really go in many different directions with it. You can have different size beads in between the seed beads to create a statement. You can go one like long bead or one long strand of beads to create a statement. Like you can create a whole bunch of different looks with this technique. How are we doing with the loop making? Is everyone okay with that? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. You can also create patterns with the beads as well. Like if you had alternating colors, you can do like black and white or just something contrasting to create like more interest. I went ahead and just did 2 different colors. All right, so again, 90-degree angle. So I got all my side beads at 90-degree angles to keep them pretty steady. And then my scissors, and I trim it down to, that's more of a 1/4 of an inch, I think. I'm using my finger width as a guide. All right. So again, using my wrist up and then completely twisting it down to connect to the body. You can even use the needle nose to straighten out your loop. You just want a closed edge. And this one looks like it might be a tad long, so I'm just going to trim it. And just this a little bit. The wires themselves aren't super strong. They're good, they're strong enough to maintain their shape, but they're definitely pliable. There's some wire that's like, it doesn't move. Generally, they're mixed with other types of metals like brass. All right. Okay, so I have all my sections ready to go. How are we all doing?
Good.
Good, 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 good. Did you guys get a good selection of beads?
Yeah.
Good, excellent. If you did the bracelet workshop, then you're definitely building up a nice collection too. We like to try to make sure we have plenty, so it's always good to have extra. So as long as my loops are closed, they're ready to go. It doesn't necessarily matter if they are not the same size. It's not the focal point of the piece. So let me know when you're ready and I'll show you the next step with the jump rings. Okay, so these jump rings come in a lot of different sizes. I believe these are 9mm. So they're not too big, not too small. Some of them are super tiny, some of them are massive, like they look like they belong on a keychain. But these are nice and delicate. They should be easy to open up. And generally speaking, it's always easier to use 2 sets of pliers, but if you are in a pinch and you need to use your hands, that's fine because again, these are softer. If you were using a harder metal, okay, let me see if I can get close up. So I have 2, trying to get my camera to register it without being blurry. Okay, so I have 2 needle nose pliers I'm holding together. And what I am doing is it's on either side of the cut of the jump ring. So I am holding it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist each side in opposite directions. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, it's hard to see. So I twisted it open, just going away from myself and towards myself with my needle nose pliers. And it's always good to do all your jump rings at once, depending on, it doesn't matter what project you're doing, but once you're in this process, it's just a lot easier to keep open them and keep them open. Okay, let's try that again. All right, so I find where the opening is, bend it, twist it, just a little bit, just to where it is, you're able to string the components. All right, so once I open my jump rings, each side is assigned a jump ring. You can also hold the jump ring with the pliers. It's a lot easier to have a good grip on it with the pliers in your hand. But then we go into our pattern of small, large, small. And you can actually get your fisheye hook at this point and just go on the opposite side of your jump ring. And you kind of just keep them all together, all dangling at this point. And sorry, it's a little, my arms are a little shaky. Okay, and then you kind of meet them back in the middle. So it should be flush. It should be like a smooth closing again. Like if you were like, you can definitely use it with your hands too. Well, let me see. I can do it with two hands, but actually this one was pretty soft. Again, this is a smaller, softer ring. And the only caution when you're using your hands is you might not have it bent at this same exact angle. So getting it lined up again is going to be a little harder. But I think this actually turned out pretty decent. So I'm just going to use my hands and string these along. And then switching hands. The only other downside is my fingers are a lot bigger than the needle nose plier. So twisting it and bending it. See, it didn't line up as well. So I just fighting with the needle nose plier. So now I'm gonna dangle these from my pot. So now I have pretty cute, pretty simple earrings. And you guys should definitely have more pieces so you can actually make your own different creation or do the same. So they should dangle. Actually, I'm going to put these on and see how they feel. My ears are super sensitive to metals, but these seem to be okay. I think it's the nickel allergy. Like most people have a nickel allergy. If they're going to be allergic to metals. Let me see. Let's face this. And yep. Yeah, work. Nice and delicate. Now I have my new pair of earrings. And again, super simple to make, but you can definitely go in many different directions with it. How are we doing? Does anyone have any finished products that they want to show off? I saw that face there. I'm sure you're doing wonderful. But yeah, so and if you really get into the jewelry making, these components are not expensive at all. And you like when you buy seed beads, I have like I went to Hobby Lobby the other day and I got like a ton of like these gold seed beads for like $1.74.
Oh
or
my
no,
God.
$1.24. Yeah.
Oh,
So and these are actually glass. Most seed beads are glass. They feel like plastic almost because they're so, I guess they're so tiny you can't tell, but they're actually made out of glass. And this was from Gilda's Club, the stuff. So yeah, it's a pretty what's the word? Accessible project. For the most part, as far as like cost and combining different textures. And as I said, the metals are pretty soft. I've had I've tried to do the wire wrapping stones, and you have to use a sturdier metal, and your fingers are numb by the time you're done with it. So this one's pretty good. So Deborah, did you get any of the oh yes. Where,
are the silver wires that we have nickel free?
Yes, they are. Okay, it's a nickel free iron. Yep.
Well, there's my,
Oh,
let's
that's cute.
see. There's my 3.
Look at those.
So I'll just get
Gorgeous.
something
Yeah.
to work it around in a circle. And
You don't have any jump rings? Was that what we're
I have the
missing?
jump rings, but I just don't
Okay.
have the needle nose. So I'll figure
Okay.
something out.
Okay. If you have let's see. Did you try twisting it with your fingers by any
You know,
chance?
I was gonna get like I have a bamboo stick.
Oh,
And
okay.
I thought of wrapping it around that and then cutting it.
Oh, yeah, try that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I love when we think of different ways around something.
It'll work. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pretty colors.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So, yeah, and you can create like different color schemes with this. You can make different ones throughout the year. You can do like red and green for Christmas,
pretty.
or blue and gold for Hanukkah, Easter, spring colors. So, yeah, it's a very this is like kind of like intro to beading, because this is what got me started, and because it was pretty simple. I mean, you just have to keep in mind like size and shape and just fighting with the wire, which over time it becomes second nature. So,
right.
But these are just simple things. You can sell them on Etsy if you wanted, or just I know the fairs, hopefully things are opening up again. So the festivals, I always see different. So definitely something to play around with, or just make them for gifts. So it's a very easy, I would assess like this earring right here, these earrings right here, probably in total cost under $10 to make. If you bought all the materials and the packets of stuff, but then you're able to make I would say about 5 to 10 pieces from each one or more, especially with the beads. So
right.
Yeah, definitely pretty economical.
I know now everybody's gonna go running to Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, and they have specials all the time. So definitely my go-to. And then also, we just did seed beads, but you can as long as the hole diameter is roughly the same, you can add bigger beads, you can add charms to it. You can make, they have a lot of, both Michael's, Hobby Lobby, and Joanne have lots of cool charms, like little metal feathers or wings, leaves, lots of different stuff. So it's literally possibilities are endless.
Melissa, if you're using beads that have a bigger hole in them, and they fall right off of the pinhead, would you make a loop at the bottom where the
You
pinhead?
can make a loop at the bottom, but what I would suggest, if you don't want that look, just get a seed bead or the smallest bead you can find, and kind of frame the bigger bead around it.
Oh, okay.
I'll actually let me grab another bead and I can show you what I'm talking about. I'll be right back. I'm gonna put my setup back together. I'll be right back. Okay. Okay. So sorry for the delay. Actually, there we go. All right. So let's say I have a bigger bead than my head pin. This is considerably wider. I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, it falls right off. What I would suggest is probably just grabbing a seed bead and using that as a stopper. So then now you're your bigger bead just stays right on. It doesn't fall off because you have that stopper. It depends on what you're going for. So you can, let me try to zoom in. I'm so sorry, this camera is not the best. So yeah, and it prevents it from falling off.
Okay, thank
Here's
you.
another bead I found. It's a little owl. It's a ceramic, and I think the hole's a little too big. Yeah, it comes right out. So again, you can just grab something that you know is the right size, and then this bead stays. So when I do this though, I like to frame the beads so it looks like it was intentional. So I put a bead on the top too. And it's pretty much just like we did with the seed beads. I bend it back at a 90-degree angle. I go ahead and I trim off the excess. Whoops, and my bead fell off. That's okay. For some reason, some seed beads are better than others. And this one that I have is being difficult. So let's say I have my difficult seed bead. I'm going to rebend it. I'm going to actually go the other way. Stay. Okay. And then, yeah, this one's a difficult one. And I just lost it. So, all right. It just helps frame the thing, but I'm almost giving up on the look versus just creating a loop. So I got my loop. I'm kind of straightening it out with the needle nose. And these I got these at Michael's. It's a wire cutter, it's the needle nose, and it's also like the flat crimper all in one. So you don't have to run out and buy all of them. So then I got my little bead, and I can do my jump ring. I have one that's still open. And I have my hook, or I'm sorry, my fish hook. And then bent it back, and now I have an even simpler project. So I don't have to count anything, but this is again super simple, very let's take that. So that's the solution I have for, like, if your beads are too big that you want to put on there, is to frame it with a seed bead of some sort. But
And
again,
it looks
we do
cute.
yeah, it's simple, it's cute. Like,
Yeah.
again, someone would probably sell it for like 20, like a pair of these for like $20 to $30, and I made it for maybe $3. So
Wow.
so, and then these are the eye head or eye pins, excuse me, versus the head pins. You can definitely use them if they do work. Very similar to the seed bead. So if you have that, you can definitely do that, but then you're also left with a loop. And if you're going to connect something to it, then perfect. But if you don't want to, it might be just something extra that you don't really need. But yeah, you can definitely add another eye hook in here. And then let's see if I can find something. I have beads all over the place, but let's see. I'm just going to throw a seed bead right in it, just to add something. So now I have a jump ring with a seed bead, my original bead. Let's see if I can make it look here. So
Oh, so you put it right on the loop. Oh, that's a good idea.
So jump ring right on the loop. Now you have another element of like a dangle. So you literally can go in a lot of different directions. So once you get that, I mean, again, we got the basics right out the bat, and it took less than a half an hour. So you guys can definitely create something a lot more, what's the word? I don't want to say complicated, intricate. Thank you, honey. My husband's listening. In about the same time frame. It's just a matter of getting the feel for it. Everything is about getting the feel for it. Just like riding a bike. Riding a bike the first time is like the scariest thing ever. And then you look back and you're like, why was I ever afraid of this? This is the easiest thing. And you don't forget it too. Do you guys have any questions?
That little
No.
seed bead that you just put on, did you put that on an eye pin?
I did put it on an eye pin. Like
So
when I
did
did
you-
the seed.
Did you
So,
open the loop up to get it on there?
this one. Okay. This one right here that I put a bead on with a little jump ring.
Yes.
That the loop, the eye pin was already looped, and I put the jump ring through the loop, and then I put the seed bead through the jump ring.
Okay, I didn't see the jump ring the first time. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So the jump rings, you can create like a lot of different effects with just the jump rings. Like you can create like almost like a connected, like you can loop them together, and you can create something like I mean, they're essentially what makes a chain and connects chains. So you can definitely make those. The possibilities are endless, really.
I like that.
It is interesting.